They're known as the angels of the classroom, helping some of the state's most vulnerable children get an education. Despite that, teachers' assistants feel undervalued and underpaid. For the past decade, they've been campaigning for better working conditions, including an end to being stood down during school holidays. The Education Union says those calls are falling on deaf ears and warn the fight is about to reach a whole new level. Tamara Glumac reports.
Samantha Wall is one of hundreds of Tasmanian teacher assistants doing it tough.
I do this job because I love it. If I didn't love it so much, I'd do something else. And just as an example, I could earn more if I was stacking shelves at the supermarket.
The single mother has been an assistant for the past 6 years and for most of that time has lived with her parents.
By the end of the fortnight, I've run out of money. By the time I've paid into the bills, into the household, food, things for my child, my daughter, I just live fortnight to fortnight, pay to pay.
By night, she's studying to become a teacher, out of necessity rather than choice.
It will keep me in the environment that I love, and I'll also be able to provide a lot better for myself and my daughter.
But Peter said, please, don't give me those peas. For now on, I just want...
Tasmania has about 1,600 teacher assistants. They're paid for just 45.5 weeks of the year and are stood down without pay during term breaks. The Education Union says most TAs only work about 20 hours a week, with the average annual salary just $19,000.
We've had people who said, I can't afford to do this anymore. I just cannot afford to do it.
For years, the Education Union's been fighting for a better deal for school support staff. In 2007, there was a breakthrough, with the state government offering teacher assistants another 2 weeks' work during the holidays, a 10% pay rise and better prospects for permanency. But the union says that hasn't gone far enough.
That was just the beginning, and we were assured that this was a beginning and that during the next round of negotiations there would be further improvements made.
Linda Wishart worked as a teacher assistant for 15 years before becoming a union representative. She says after the 2007 deal she was gagged by the state government from going public on members' concerns.
We were promised that if we refrained from going to the media on stand down and talking about it at length, like I am now, that there would be further improvements made during the next round of negotiations. Now, we have honoured that commitment. In fact, the members have actually said to me, why have we been so quiet? But it's because we honoured our commitment to stay out of the media on this, because we were promised that there would be further improvements made. To hell with it. We've been lied to.
The union says teacher assistants have also been victims of state government budget cuts.
A lot of TAs have had their hours reduced because schools simply cannot afford that top-up time to give them the additional time to work with the kids that need it.
A group of teacher assistants is getting creative in the campaign to improve their pay and conditions. They're making craft to sell at a new market at Kingston called Stand Down, Stand Up.
The three aims really are to highlight stand down and to provide much needed income and provide support to each other. So don't forget, everybody, you've got to bring your own table. Yep.
Cindy CALVERT started the markets 4 months ago to provide some form of income for a teacher assistants during school holidays.
Basically, I saw that people were trying to make ends meet by doing different things around the school, bringing things to sell, and so I thought, well, perhaps a market would be a good idea for an outlet for those people to sell their goods.
Home economics teacher Catherine EARNSHAW says stand down is affecting classrooms across the state.
We've lost really good TAs. I worked with a TA a few years ago who left to work in the TAB, even though she'd been a teacher assistant for about 22 years, just because she found it too hard to survive during the stand-down periods.
She says without them, inclusion wouldn't exist.
We couldn't have the students with disabilities coming into the classroom to get, absolutely vital life skills without having the TAs in the classroom. And they are really special people who care for our most vulnerable people in the community.
When Sharon Giles spoke to the ABC in 2007, she'd been stockpiling food for the summer holidays and had to sell her car. 5 years on, she's still catching the bus and struggling financially.
Well, I think twice about everything I spend. I think twice about having a hobby. I think twice about having a cat. But these are things that I feel I have a right to. Not just because I'm a low-paid employee, but because I'm a human being.
One luxury Ms Giles now has is private health insurance, but it's a luxury that's come out of necessity, and it's meant she can no longer afford to rent and has moved in with her brother. Ms Giles says she helps up to a dozen special needs students a day at Rosny College, and the demands of the job are growing.
They want our help and they want our contribution in term time, but you can go hang when the school holidays are on.
Teacher assistants have accused the Education Minister, Nick McKim, of breaking an election promise. In December 2009, as Greens leader, Mr McKim launched a policy calling for better conditions for teachers' aides and school support staff. He described the unpaid stand-down as unfair and inequitable and pledged to fight for an extra 6 weeks' pay a year for those workers.
All of a sudden, became Education Minister and he just is doing nothing about it, and I'm bitterly disappointed in him, and I think the members are bitterly disappointed as well because of the fact that the policy was so clear that they were going to address this issue, and a lot of the members went to the polls on that.
If I could talk to Mr McKim right now, I would ask him how he would feel if the Tasmanian public said, sorry, we're only going to pay you when you're sitting in Parliament.
I work just as hard when Parliament's not sitting as when it is.
Mr McKim denies he's broken any promises.
I accept that I've been unable in the current fiscal climate to deliver on our policy at this time, but that doesn't mean that I'm walking away from it, and it doesn't mean that I no longer believe in it.
He says he's committed to ending stand down, but can't say when.
I can understand why teacher assistants would want some certainty around this, but look, I'm just not able to offer that at this time.
It's a waiting game teacher assistants are no longer prepared to play. For the first time in the decade-long fight, they're seriously considering walking off the job.
For a meagre wage earner to say we're prepared to lose even more to make a point, they're pretty fed up. And I think they're tired and they just want to see justice.